When a group of political experts were asked to give their prediction about when the Soviet Union would dissolve, they were almost as accurate as chimpanzees. We see here that both the experts and the chimpanzees' predictions were all over the place. Fortunately, we've become much better at predicting the future due to advanced mathematical systems, improved knowledge of general science, and most importantly, our ability to look back and analyze history. I'm a student of philosophy and theory of knowledge. And a question that I often see repeated in my studies is, what is the world and what does it ought to be? Now that's a very difficult question to answer. And that's why some scientists prefer to look back rather than look forward. That's why one scientist at Cambridge used a search engine by the name of True Knowledge to look through 150 years of data to pinpoint what we call today as the most boring, dull, and uneventful day in history. April 11th, 1954. This Sunday, on 1954, nothing happened. No one famous was born, no one famous died, World War III didn't break out. Even the front page news didn't conform to today's societies. We didn't have Kim Jong-un telling his nation that they won the World Cup, or Britney Spears shaving her head similar to what you see on stage today. We had much more subtle stories, such as the Queen of England having tea and biscuits with her guests, the elaborate heist that took a cup that was worth $20, and BBC musicians begging the radio to stop repeating music, something that we still don't have quite down today. As much as we'd like to think that these stories and occurrences did not impact what our world has become today, science begs to differ, specifically mathematics. We have these three concepts: catastrophe theory, the butterfly effect, and possibility theory, which all combine to say this one simple notion. Due to the infinite possibilities around us, a slight change in an initial condition could have substantial ramifications later on. For simple demonstration, I want everyone to take your badge off and put it in the middle of the table. Okay, badges on the, all right. Now shuffle them. Shuffle all the badges. Now everyone, close your eyes and pick a badge out. Hopefully here we all went to middle school and know a bit about probability. Probably you could have predicted that you're going to get yours or the person sitting next to you. But what these concepts tell us is, let's imagine for a second that every way, form, color, and shape of making a badge was on that table. Would you ever be able to predict which badge you would get? Absolutely not. Now, these are just theories. So I went looking for the application of these theories, the proof, the evidence. So I'm going to tell you of two stories. One that started a war and another that ended one. It was 1914. Duke Ferdinand was going through the streets of Sarajevo. Earlier that day, there was already an assassination attempt that failed. So he instructed his driver to take a different route. His driver, not knowing the directions very well, took a wrong turn. There, they were met by an assassin who was having lunch by a nearby cafe. He quickly recognized the Duke, pulled out his handgun, and assassinated him. So let's pause for a moment. A hungry assassin, a driver that doesn't know directions, and one bullet would assassinate the Duke, causing what we know today as World War I, that caused millions of deaths around the world. A little occurrence that changed modern history as we know it. Optimistically, though, we have the same applications ending a war. In Scotland, on a hot summer day, a farmer was out when he heard the cries of a young boy. Startled by this, he quickly went and saw a young man being sinking into quicksand. So he saved the boy, and the boy told him, "I'd return later with my father to thank you for such a favor." So later that day, the boy would return with his father, who turned out to be a nobleman from Scotland. The nobleman insisted that he must repay the farmer for this great favor, and his solution was, "I'm going to take your son I'm going to educate him the same way I'm educating mine. Years would go by, and the farmer's son would become who we know today as Alexander Fleming, also known as the inventor of penicillin. Oddly enough, at that time, the nobleman's son would be in trouble again, but this time with a terminal case of pneumonia. What comes to his savior? Penicillin. Now you ask, how did this end the war? Well, the nobleman's son was who we know today as Winston Churchill. Now, Winston Churchill is one of the most influential leaders during World War II. He created the team of scientists who broke the Enigma code of the Nazis and arguably ended the war by 3 or 4 years in shorter time. I'm not the only one who looked back and realized that these notions have applications in history. Today's top business, economy, and sociology leaders use the same applications in their respective fields. For example, same applications. In seismology, we see how scientists look at minute change of behavior in tectonic plates for them to be able to predict natural disasters such as earthquakes and tsunamis. We see in the book Microtrends by Mark Penn how he says if 1%, only 1% of the American population, at that time being around 3 million people, adopt a certain cultural, social, or fashion trend, that can cause a huge ripple to go throughout the nation in its entirety. And we have evidence of these microtrends. Some social media powerhouses, such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all started out as microtrends. We see in criminology how they have theorized if we keep vandalism, toll skipping, public drinking, littering, all to a minimum, that would later cause such serious crimes such as rape and murder to go down, effectively saving, again, millions of lives. But I'm not a scientist, nor am I a mathematician, and I would expect all of you to relate with a Duke from 1914 or with Winston Churchill. I'm just a student. So I would expect you to see these applications if I tell you a story of how it happened in an everyday, day-to-day life situation, just in a routinely student life. About a year ago, if you would label me, call me big, large, a synonym of these two words would be perfect. To put it simply, I was just really fat. So, 16-year-old obese me is sitting down at his bed eating as usual, going through the internet, and I see this joke. 10 push-ups a day, keep the doctor away. I'm like, all right, easy, easy. Put my computer down, put my food down. I'm gonna do these push-ups. 4th one in, I'm already out of breath. Okay, this is not as easy as I thought. So I have a simple plan. I'm gonna fix my eating for a couple of days, exercise regularly, and then go back to my old habits. That was the most important part. So I proceed with my plan, and a couple of days later, I'm able to do these 10 push-ups, and I'm like, wow, I accomplished something small in a little time. This is amazing. So I was hooked. And my 10 push-ups exponentially grew. They became 20, 30, 40. And I started a journey of transformation that lasted about a year to make me the healthier, much arguably healthier teen that stands before you today. And that's what I want you guys to realize, that when we realize that the infinite possibilities around us, we're going to want to do the little things. The small piece of paper. As I say the story, I want you all to think of a goal. A goal that you have, or might not even know you have yet. But we've all heard of a theory, or some of us may have heard of a theory, called 6 degrees of separation. It basically says that we're all 6 steps away from everyone or everything. So basically, you're 6 steps away from Obama, you're 6 steps away from the Queen of England. But look at this piece of paper. So you're a student, you're a freshman. You're going around in school, and you glance with your eye or look at an MUN poster, a Model United Nations poster. You don't even know what MUN stands for. You go home that day, and you search it up. Oh, okay, it's about debate, it's about being a diplomat. You're really interested in it. Fast forward, you come next day to school, You enroll in the club, and again, fast forward again, you're now excelling in the club, and you're excelling in your classes that have to do with politics, debate, and being diplomatic. It's your junior year now, and you're getting ready to choose your new classes. So you choose classes like economics, philosophy, political classes to help you with your new formed dream. And again, you excel in them. You take standardized testing. You're ready to go to a top-tier university to pursue your newly formed dream. And again, you excel at it because it's your passion now. You just graduated university. You persist on becoming the politician you saw yourself one day back when you saw the MUN poster. You're working in the Department of State, let's say, and you're changing lives. You're making society a much better place. Fast forward a few years, let's say you're now a minister in the top position. And again, you're making new policies and you're positively progressing everyone around you. And last but not least, 10 years later maybe, you see the big picture. You're running for a presidential election. Your name is on that ballot. It's a dream that you never knew you had. And you take just 10 seconds to look back and see where it all started. It's because you glanced at that MUN poster that was out. I think that if we all realize the infinite possibilities around us, there's nothing left that would be called little things. Every action you take, you'd know it may lead you to a greater place. So we've come in full circle, and I take you back to this newspaper. I look at that headline. The US raises aid to Indochina. Researchers have proven that that would be the first action of many to set what we know today as the Vietnamese War. So I ask you again, is there really such a thing as the most boring day in history? Thank you.